Hey everybody, how are you? Suzette Speaks here. I'm so glad you found my channel. Why don't you go ahead and subscribe? You know what it is. I'm excited that you will be a part of this community and I don't want you to miss any of my upcoming videos. So please do hit that subscribe button and I'm really glad you're here. I am an attorney. I am a television host. I am a political advocate, an empowerment advocate, and most of all, I would just say a good daughter, a good friend, and a person that wants to see the best in other people and hopefully uh, becomes a conduit for people learning from one another and hopefully becoming their best in the process. So, welcome to my channel. I am grateful, like I said, that you're here. Please subscribe. And today I'm going to talk about something that have heard a lot of my friend girls talk about. What you'll find on my channel right now, I'm just going to talk about random topics and what you guys like by what your comments are, by what you share. I'll know to talk more about that topic or change the subject. But today I want to talk a little bit about the feeling of overwhelm that a lot of people are experiencing right now. I think there is a lot to be said when it comes to, the pandemic crisis, that crisis mode that we're in, where we don't get a break, don't get a breather, and we're constantly feeling kind of on edge, the sense of anxiety, the lack of sleep, in my case, in other ways that we feel basically that, it's overwhelming that what is happening around us, not only the pandemic, but life in general, can be overwhelming. And if you're feeling like that, please know that you are not alone. Please know there are a lot more people than care to admit it. I've been that person and that lady with, the external looking cute, looking together and ready to go, and internally, like literally about to have a breakdown and about to lose her mind. So if you are in that space, do not worry. We are all human beings and all of us have different seasons and different emotional thresholds. And I just want to take this time to remind you to like check your plate. So, what do I mean by that? I think that life has so many different components right now. If you're like me, you know that the hats we wear as a women and just the hats you wear in life in general can be fully overwhelming. And there's some that you can't take off as easily. And there are others that can be placed on the back burner. We just don't feel like it. And I'll give you a couple of examples, but I want to first talk about, some of the examples that we've seen in the sports arena. I don't know if you guys have watched any of the US Open, but I had taken note. I didn't watch it, but I took note from some of the articles written afterwards about my beloved Naomi Osaka. And I think her personal story is very compelling. Obviously, she's an outstanding tennis player and champion, has won US Open and all these other different tournaments. But she had a rough US Open this year. And if you want to watch the clips, that's up to you. But watching her in this final round where she was knocked out and she had various emotional outbursts, she, threw her racket, listen, people have done this before. Google John McEnroe and some of these other people from days gone by. This is not new, but it seems out of character from what we know of Naomi. If you watched her Netflix special and just how she presents herself in the media, it seems very out of character. And I would say, we can take a very important lesson from Naomi after her, teary interview at the end of her match. And I agree with, I forget who said it, when you're trying to, process having lost and then you go straight to the media table, the media booth, and now everybody's asking you about how you feel when you just lost like the biggest, match of your life, and how, it must feel as a person who is very competitive, put a lot of work in, it must feel horrible. And then you're put in front of a microphone. So I applaud Naomi. I think after she has said she's going to take a break, I don't know what she's going through. I can't, put any assumptions on, her behavior or why she felt, she couldn't, deal. But I do think she is emblematic of, every human being on this earth where we can be pushed past our limits. And it can be okay not to be okay. And it can be okay to say, hold up, I need to take a break from this. This is, distressing. This is causing me to, act outside of my normal character. And if you are in a situation like this, obviously you're not playing in the US Open, but many of us playing in this game called life. And there are so many situations where you will find yourselves, myself included, we will find ourselves, you know, buried, weighed down, and sometimes overwhelmed beyond just, the stress, the normal stress of life. With the pandemic, being what it is, and I don't know about you guys, a year ago I thought we would be done by now, but we're not. And it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. And you have the stresses of sending kids back to school, not knowing what's going on with your job and your economic situation. Unemployment has been cut now. The federal unemployment has recently, the boost has been ended. The moratorium for evictions has been ended. So a lot more stress. I was going to say a lot more people are going to be in a state of, constant anxiety. And if you're one of those people, I just want to acknowledge you. I want to say you're not alone. And I want to say that there is help and there are resources that you can tap into to make sure that your burden is not bared alone. And I want to really encourage you by asking, when was the last time you did a self check, a self awareness check of how you felt and what was making you feel that way? Sometimes I realize, for me, it's when I can't sleep. I am a night owl. I can be up 12 midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. night, every night, excuse me. But I know for those nights where I'm like, it's 1 o'clock and I'm laying down and I can't sleep. Why? For me, I know sometimes the source of what is keeping me up and what is making me more stressed than normal, obviously, living in a pandemic is, my intake of news. I don't know about you guys. I am a news junkie. I watch a lot of news. I like to be informed. I like to know what's going on. And, for my shows and stuff, you want to know what you want to talk about. And I realized, for me, whether it's taking a day and fasting, like, putting down the social media, putting down the phone, and not reading every headline, every news story, every scroll, it can be overwhelming. And if you're an empath like myself, and if you're a person that just has that, care for others and the sanctity of life, and when you read, what happened with a hurricane and what happens with the fires, and then other people who have had, mental breakdowns and have killed people or have, committed suicide or have done things to themselves where it's really shocking. And you're like, oh my gosh, on top of that, you still have bills and you still have family and you still have life. Those things don't stop. So if you are in the position where you feel like, oh my gosh, I am kind of drowning a little or a lot, and you want to hopefully try to regain some semblance of balance, one suggestion I have for you is to look at your plate, look at all the obligations and all the things that you think you have to do, and try to select one that possibly does not need to be on your plate this week. So look at your life, look at all the obligations you have. I know I have women out here, single moms. You can't necessarily get rid of that big obligation, which is, obviously childcare, cooking, and making sure the kids are off to school on time. Yes, I know those major obligations do not change. What I'm speaking about are the ancillary obligations. They may not seem ancillary to you or to I because, there are people in our lives that put these demands on us that make us feel like we have to be there. Whether it's, through your social circle, a fellow friend who thinks, you have to talk to them about that problem like today. Maybe you don't talk to them today. Maybe you say, hey, I have to have some decompression time for myself. And you say to them, oh, wow, I have a lot on my plate. But how about I reach out to you, Sunday, instead of right now where my kids are getting off of work, or I'm getting off of work, my kids are getting home from school and I have to, download what they have experienced for their day and become a part of, their therapy, and they're, listening to them and figuring out how their day went. Sometimes as women, we are very much in demand and we are pouring from that proverbial empty cup where emotionally we're not in balance, spiritually we're not in balance, but we're still trying to give and give and give and give because we're super women and we can make it all happen and everyone needs us. But as my mom once said, if you drop down tomorrow, that job will replace you. That job will find someone else to fill your spot and everything will keep going as if you weren't there. And it's not to say, don't care about work. It's not to say, give up everything, this is not working for me. I got to go. But it's trying to encourage you to make an adjustment here or there on the fringes, on the ancillary, on the movable parts. Now, we all have the general obligations that we must keep. I get that. But on some of these social obligations, some of these, friendship obligations, some of the things that we do for our families, some of the things that we do for, those that we love the most, they can be switched around. They do not have to be priority number one this week. So go ahead and take an inventory. Write down maybe your top 3 that you think you might be able to move around. Think about the resources that you have at your disposal within your circle, whether it is asking for help in terms of babysitting or childcare for that extra couple hours on Saturday. Hey mom, hey homegirl, hey whoever, can you come watch these kids while I go for a walk? Or maybe it is doing the much needed and obligatory tasks in a different way. Maybe it's not, combing baby girl's hair every day. It's finding a braider and getting those braids. And so you can take 30 minutes back of your time. Maybe it is ordering out if you can, one extra time a week. I don't know what it is for you, but there are things that we think are necessary for everyone that are just not that necessary. And those things can be replaced with self-care, with a walk in the park, with the listening to music, with listening to the podcast, with sitting by the pool or the beach, depending on where you live, with calling a friend who is optimistic instead of the one who always has problems, that is always kind of weighing you down, and maybe leaving her to find someone else this time, just this time, to help her through. And not that you're not loving or empathetic, but everyone should have healthy boundaries. So for you, it might be, she'll find someone, trust me, to listen. But for you and for your own self-care, it might be necessary not to be the callback. It's a beautiful thing when you realize I got to put me first. And I know in every situation it's different. It's not always going to work out. It's not going to be perfect. Maybe not this week, Sue. Maybe next week. Okay, I got you. Make the plans, make the arrangements, make the adjustments. But I challenge you, find that one thing that you thought you needed to do. But after more consideration, you're like, okay, no, they'll find someone else to do that, right? Talk your way out of it, back your way out of it. Now, I don't say lie, but create a real boundary. Hey, I have so much on my plate this week. I won't be able to help you with fill in the blank. And they got to be able to understand in love. And if they love you like you love them, they should be okay with it. There are ways that we must honor ourselves beyond self-sacrifice. No one benefits from self-sacrifice because at the end of the day, you lose more than you gain. Let's try to create a healthier habit around how much we have on our plates. The things that we can control, let's try to do a better job at rebalancing them. Well, I hope that gives you a nugget of truth and hopefully allows you maybe some new direction from a place from where you've been feeling unbalanced. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Again, hit subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you'd like to hear me talk about. And I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys next time.